It's like about 50 pounds. Yeah. You're working across the street from Marcus.
So good evening. The time is 7:02 p.m. and I would like to call to order Monday, February 14th meeting of the Southampton County School Board. We have 7 of our 9 members present, so we do have a quorum. Is there a school board member who would like to add an item to the agenda?
Yes, I would like to add a personnel matter and close.
Okay, so item under section 9, it'll be item G, would be a personnel matter. And I would like to add an item H under section 9, which is also a personnel matter concerning the facilities and maintenance department. So, item G will be personnel with Ms. Bradley. And H will be personnel matter, facilities and maintenance department, and that's going to be Goodwin. Is there another school board member who would like to add an item to the agenda? Could we have a motion then to approve the agenda as amended? We have a motion by Ms. Bunn, a second by Mr. Scott to approve the agenda as amended. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. You had in your school board documents the minutes from our regular meeting that was on January the 10th, 2022, and the minutes from our special meeting that was held on January the 24th, I believe. So that date, for that. We had two meetings. Am I right, the 24th? Yeah, I'm right. Okay, so you had the minutes from two meetings, the meeting on the 10th and the meeting on the 24th. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of those two meetings? So could we have a motion then to approve the minutes as presented? We have a motion by Ms. Bradley, a second by Ms. Reynolds, to approve the minutes as presented. And those are the minutes from the regular meeting and from the special call meeting. We're down to recognition, and the superintendent has several recognitions tonight. So Dr. Shannon?
Yes. I'd like to start with the students of the month. So tonight it gives me great pleasure to have our building principals come forward and recognize our students of the month. In the past, we've actually been doing it from central office, but we think that it would be more personable if the principals did it thus far, because the principals are the ones who are there with the students every day. And I just think that it might mean a little more to the students for the principals to come forward and recognize their students. So principals, we are asking that you do come forward tonight and recognize our students who have shown excellence within the school community and who have also demonstrated remarkable citizenship and are role models for their peers. I will say that Dr. Francis is not with us tonight, so Ms. Hicks will do the recognitions for Dr. Francis. Thank you, Ms. Hicks.
Thank you, Dr. Shannon. I am honored, Capron Elementary, to stand here to give two awards to two amazing students that Dr. Francis has deemed appropriate to recognize on this evening. And the first student that Dr. Francis would like to recognize for citizenship is Talia Pope. Would you please come forward? Talia is a very well-mannered, and he makes it a point every day, always, to stop by the office to speak to Mrs. Wren and his building principal, Dr. Francis. He has had some bumps in the road, but he has always become stronger because of it. Dr. Francis is very proud of you and everything that you stand for. And Talia wants you to know, and your family and everyone present, that you are an amazing young man. Congratulations to Talia Pope for a job well done. And Talia, I want you to go over to the reception area, and you're going to take your to the young lady waving her hand over there. You're going to take your picture, okay? All right? Okay. Next, we have Mackenzie Joyner. Mackenzie Joyner. And I would just like to share what Dr. Francis has to say about Mackenzie, her citizenship. Mackenzie is a very quiet, but she is a leader. If you need to have some help, Mackenzie is the one. She's always working with all the teachers, suggesting that Mackenzie can do anything. She is a huge help with the daycare as well. Her baby brother is in pre-K and looks up to her as well. Mackenzie is smart, sweet, and just a plain nice young lady. Dr. Francis is very proud of Mackenzie Joyner. Let's give her a round of applause as well. Thank you.
Everyone. I'm Susan Fowler, principal at Meharon, and I am super excited to recognize two of our students tonight. First one on my list is a young fella named Maximilian Lukianchenko. So Max, come on up and see me. You can be shy, and you can come with him. Hey Max. Good job, honey. Oh, and a new Max for today. You want to stand on me? All right, so we're recognizing Max tonight. Max is a stellar kindergarten with us at Meharon. He was with us for pre-K last year, and anybody at my school knows Max he's made such great progress since coming and being with us. And I could stay up here all night, but the things that I had to say is just he's a classroom role model. He's been a peer, a friend. We ask him to do stuff around our office all the time. And so we just wanted to recognize Max for all the great accomplishments he's made in the last year with us in Meharry. And we'd like to appreciate his parents too, because they worked with us a lot last year and this year, and it's paying off. So thank you for your support. All right, now. All right, and our second student from Meharry is Jade Holman. So Jade, come on up. So Jade is chosen, she's a second grader at Meharry, just an all-around stellar student. She keeps remarkable grades, and I just wanted to point out she's the middle sibling of two brothers, an older brother and a younger brother, and so I'm sure she's always on the go supporting them. Come on, closer, Jade. She's always on the go supporting them, but also doing her own sports and keeping up her grades. So I just thought that was really awesome. She's a classroom helper, good friend. She has a kind heart, and she just has that special energy wherever she goes. And so, Jade, this is for you. Great job.
Good evening. My name is Susan Melby. I'm the proud principal at Nottoway Elementary. And first I'm going to call Miss Jada Bailey. Come on up. Miss Jada is a second grader at Nottoway Elementary School, and she was nominated by her math teacher. Jada works extremely hard and has improved so much in math over the course of this year that we wanted to recognize her. And not only that, but she is a wonderful helper to all of her friends in our classroom, and she is just the joy to have at school at Nottoway. So please give Jada a big round of applause. We're going to smile at Mom. Okay, go over there. That's your height. Yeah, go to Mom and check that. Thank you. All right, next up is Mr. Braylon Boone. Come on up, Braylon. Now, Braylon, even though he doesn't look like it, he is a fourth grader at Nottoway. He looks like he could be at the middle school. Braylon was nominated also by his math teachers. Braylon, over the course of the last year, has been working extremely hard on his math, and he actually received one of the highest grades on his benchmark test. And we are just super proud of all of the progress that he's making. He's a wonderful helper, a wonderful friend, and a great role model to have at Nottoway. So we are grateful to have Braylon and representing him tonight. Good evening, I'm Miss Rayleigh.
And I'm Mrs. Wofford.
And we are the proud co-principals at Riverdale Elementary School. And it's our honor tonight to recognize Mr. Coda Brazo. Coda, can you come forward? Let's give him a hand. Coda is a smart student who has proven himself this year to be very strong and very courageous. He's responsible inside and outside of school. He plays basketball, baseball, and science is his favorite sport, hence the his favorite subject. See his NASA sweatshirt. He always displays good behavior and is a great student academically. He continues to work hard, show great attitude and self-control, even after a heartbreaking time this year. So we are so proud of Coda and all of his courageous moments here at Riverdale. And congratulations, Coda, and continue to rise. We're so very proud of you. Good job.
Good evening. I'm Darian Bell, Principal, Southampton Middle School. I'd like to first recognize Mr. Dylan Granger. Mr. Dylan Granger, if you'll come forward, please. Dylan is a sixth grader at Southampton Middle School. He is very diligent about completing his work on time and to the best of his ability. He is very accepting of his classmates, gets along well with others, and strives to focus on each task during class. Dylan isn't afraid to ask for clarification when he needs more information about something, and participates cheerfully in activities and discussions. Dylan is an honor roll student at Southampton Middle School. Congratulations, Dylan. Dylan's parents, if you'll stand, loved ones, whoever's with them, wave. Good. All right, next we have Reagan Howell. Hey. All right. Reagan is a seventh grader at Southampton Middle School. She is always polite and respectful, works hard to complete all of her work, even when she had been out for a little while. She has fun, has a fun personality. She works well with her peers. She shows pride in everything she does. Reagan has been on the principal's list ever since coming to Southampton Middle School. Awesome, awesome. Congratulations, Reagan. Reagan's parents, loved ones, you'll stand. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Dillon, Mr. Pope, members of the school board, Dr. Shannon, and guests. I stand before you with honor to present the Superintendent Students of the Month from Southampton High School. One young lady, Amaya Monique Kennedy, is described as polite, poised, passionate, and prepared. She's not with us tonight because she is the captain of the Lady Indians basketball team, and she's playing tonight. But I would like to share some highlights about her in her absence. Amaya Kennedy is ranked 9th in her class with a weighted GPA of 5.0. She is a dual enrollment student and will be awarded an associate's degree in May from Camp College. She is a member of the Key Club, National Beta Club, the National Honor Society, and the National Society of High School Scholars. At Camp College, of course, she's on the Dean's List and a member of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. Amaya is very active in the community. She's a member of Upward Bound, the James L. Camp Leaders Club, and Ladies of Distinction. She volunteers with the child abuse there, as well as she volunteers with child care at the YMCA. Amaya is a leader among her peers and is highly regarded by her teachers and coaches. Again, she is the captain of the girls' basketball team, treasurer of the class of 2020, and a member of the Student Council Association and a student ambassador. She plans to major in biology and pursue a career in the medical field. She is the daughter of Tiffany Stewart and Dale Kennedy. Again, Miss Amaya Monique Kennedy. Our second student is Riley Arojo. Come on up, Riley. As you can see, he is described as versatile, dependable, accountable, and responsible. Riley is a senior honor student, as well as a dual enrollment student at Camp Community College. He serves as a student ambassador and is the current vice president of FBLA, where he has been a member for 3 years. He's also a member of the National Honor Society, Upward Bound, Gifted Art, and the yearbook staff. He was chosen to represent Southampton High School as a student representative for the Southampton County Public School Guidance Initiative. Riley is an avid soccer player and has played on both the JV and varsity soccer teams, and has also played travel soccer. Last summer, he was chosen to be a delegate at the American Legion Boys State of Virginia, where he was elected chairman of the electoral board. He has been involved with community service projects through high school and at Camp Community College. Very interesting, he's affiliated with Be My Eyes program, which is an app that connects blind and low vision people with sighted volunteers. He has also assisted veterans at the Armed Forces Retirement Home in Washington, D.C., and was a teacher assistant at Camp Community College's summer college program. Of course, Riley is on the Dean's List at Camp Community College and a member of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, and recently joined the esports team. He will graduate with his associate degree in May as well. To date, Riley has been accepted to 32 colleges. I'll repeat that. He has been accepted to 32 colleges. And of course, I'm partial. He's going to Virginia Tech, and he will be in the engineering program. He is the son of proud parents, Patrick and Tammy Orojo. Please stand. Riley would like to present this to you. Congratulations, and keep up the good work. Very proud of you.
Certainly proud of all the students who were recognized tonight. Thank you for all of your hard work, and thank you, parents, for sharing your students and their talents with us. Dr. Shannon, the next group.
The next group is our pharmacy tech students. And Mrs. Kelly Gillette is coming forward, and I'm hoping that we do have Dr. Porter here tonight so that she can discuss the beginning ceremony that took place on Friday, February the 4th.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, Mr. Burt, board members, Dr. Shannon, all present. Happy Valentine's Day. We've heard a lot about the pharmacy technician program. We've seen pictures, but I have a real live, in-person teacher here tonight, plus a couple of students and her assistant. So without further ado, I'm going to call forth Dr. LaShawn Porter. Please join.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. Some of you I have met, some of you I have not. So I am Dr. LaShawn Porter. I am a pharmacist, a pharmacy manager, as well as the pharmacy technician instructor of this wonderful high school, Southampton High School. First and foremost, I just want to thank each and every one of you for this amazing opportunity in which you all have approved for your students. Truly, with this first pilot class, it has shown me just how involved these students are into their future. Coming to class after school hours for 3 hours, learning a lot of information in a small time frame, being active, proactive in class, being on top of their assignments. I will let them talk a little bit more about that, but I just want to say thank you for giving them this opportunity. And I just want to speak a little bit about the pinning ceremony. It was something that I wanted to be special for the students. So they know they cannot get their certification until after graduation, but something to still embark this completion of didactic work, right? Something that shows we've done it, we've reached it, we have passed all of our tests, passed our quizzes, we've passed our final, and now the next step after graduation is going before the boards to take their test to be certified. This is not a class that was offered when I was in high school, so I wanted to give back this opportunity to the high school students to be able to go forward, and if they're interested in certain things, which some of them are interested in the pharmacy career, some are just interested in the medical field itself. So with that being said, this still will help them along that journey, but it would not have been able to happen without you all's approval. So thank you so much for that. I do have my assistant, Alyssa. She's here with me. She has helped me along the way as well. Alyssa, if you can just wave your hand. She has helped come to class. We do hands-on work just to kind of show them the feel of being in the pharmacy. Some people think of pharmacy and then they think of just retail, but there are so many different areas of pharmacy and being a pharmacy technician. I won't go into all of them, but we did hands-on work just to show them, and they enjoyed themselves. There's some pictures on there. I don't know if you all can see it, but some pictures of just how it kind of looks in the pharmacy setting itself, as well as just some different skits. So I am really big on learning the information and being able to apply what you're learning, right? Not just show up for a test, pass the test because you remember it, but really being able to apply the information, apply it to a patient, apply it to a case, whatever it is, being able to really go forth and learning the information. So we did a lot of skits, we did a lot of hands-on work, as well as learning just a lot of information. So I'm very, very proud of all of the students, everyone that passed, and then I have a new roster of students coming along. So I'm really excited to meet them, and I'm just very proud of all of the students who did pass. I have Alyssa, I have Elizabeth, and I have Ty. Ty and Elizabeth just want to come up and briefly say something really quick just about how the program and how the class has benefited them. But I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you again. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Murney, and I just wanted to brief on the pharmacy tech class. I want to thank each and every one of you for giving us the opportunity to take this course, because some kids and students that have taken this want to further our career either in the medical field or even in the pharmacy field. So with this class, it really helps us further our education and get the basic knowledge, and I just want to thank y'all all for the opportunity to let us get that information.
Good evening, I'm Ty, and I greatly appreciate having this opportunity because I do want to become a pharmacist one day. And the program really helped me, but it was not an easy program at all. Like, it was really hard with the 2 jobs I have and the class after school. But thanks to Dr. P being available all throughout the night, I was able to accomplish and pass class. Thank you.
And I do have certificates for these 2 young ladies, as well as the other participants they will deliver to school tomorrow. So I do have one for Elizabeth. And one for Ty. Thank you again. We appreciate Dr. Porter and her assistant and our kids coming this evening to share the successes of the pharmacy technician program. Thank you again.
Thank you, and Ms. Vaughn has some comments about that program.
And Dr. Goodwin and I were able to attend the pinning ceremony, and it was really nice to be there because the energy in the room that day was really fantastic just to see. You know, sometimes we don't get to see the good side of the things that are going on. We deal with just the problems and the complaints so it's really nice when we get to show up and see some of the exciting things that are going on and see the accomplishments. And it really was great. The instructor, when we start a pilot program, we couldn't have asked for a more energetic, hands-on instructor to start this pilot program for us. It was evident just in the way that the students responded to her, as well as her energy on the stage that day was fantastic. We had looked at doing this program for a couple of years and really tried to get the funding in place and get it set up, because we want to provide opportunities for our students that they can walk out the door and this can be something that they can walk right into a job. We recognize that we need to provide these opportunities outside of the normal classroom. So it was great. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Shannon, next group.
Yes, well, actually, we are finished with our groups. Now we are down to School Board Appreciation Month.
Well, on behalf of the entire school board, we certainly thank you for all the recognition that you've given us. We feel like children on Christmas morning, when we walked in and saw all the great things on the table. So we certainly appreciate your recognizing us and all that you've done for us.
Good evening, Madam School Board Chairwoman, Madam Chairman, Madam Superintendent. I'm Dr. Shonda Harris Muhammad, Coordinator of Pupil Personnel. I have the honor of reading the 2022 Virginia School Board Appreciation Month Proclamation. Whereas the education of Virginia school-aged children is the foundation upon which the intellectual, economic, and social strength of our Commonwealth and county is built. And whereas locally elected and/or appointed school board members play a vital role in our representative democracy, as the decisions of local school boards directly govern instruction in our public schools. And whereas school board members are elected and/or appointed to sit in trust for the diverse communities and are charged with meeting the community's expectations and aspirations for the public education of both today's and tomorrow's students. And whereas school board members are responsible for providing leadership that ensures a clear, shared vision of public education for every school, for every child, and setting high standards for the education of all students, regardless of their zip code. And whereas school board members work with students, families, teachers, staff, nonprofit organizations, local businesses, and other community partners to create and implement the educational vision for all students. And whereas the members of this school board of the Southampton County Public Schools deserve recognition and appreciation for their dedication to every Southampton County Public Schools student, staff member, and family members, and for their countless hours of volunteer service to public education. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Southampton County Public Schools recognizes February 2022 as School Board Appreciation Month and encourages all community stakeholders, schools, and community members to join in this celebration. If everyone present can join in celebrating our School Board of Southampton County Public Schools. Thank you. I also have certificates for you, and I'm going to call you in alphabetical order. Ms. Lynn Bradley. Ms. Denise Bunn. Dr. Deborah Goodwin.
Thank you.
Mr. James Pope. Ms. Florence Reynolds. Ms. Roundtree is absent, I believe. Mr. Gregory Scott. Mr. Christopher Smith is absent. And Mr. William Worsham. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. And again, thank you all. We appreciate the recognition, and we certainly appreciate the gifts and the recognition that you have shown us tonight. It is also School Board Clerk Appreciation Month, and we know that the superintendent serves as the school board clerk, and that Ms. Laverne Artis serves as the assistant clerk of the school board. So Dr. Shannon,
Well,
proclamation?
there is no proclamation available yet.
Okay.
So basically, I just want everyone to know that VSBA has designated the third week in February as VSBA School Board Clerk Appreciation Week. And they want to bring awareness to the role that the board clerk plays in assisting with school board members, the superintendent, and local schools. I just want to say that I appreciate our deputy board clerk, Ms. Artis, and I do have a certificate here for her.
And we know that, both Dr. Shannon and Ms. Artis do a remarkable job of making sure that we have the information that we need and making sure that we stay on target in terms of our responsibilities. So thank you for all that you do. It is also Career and Technical Education Month for Dr. Shannon.
Yes, Ms. Adams, would you please come forward? And I'll start by just saying that Virginia also acknowledges the importance of career and technical education to students of the Commonwealth through diploma seals that are awarded by the Board of Education. And Ms. Adams, who is our supervisor of career and technical education, is at the podium, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about some of the specifics of what we do here at Southampton. Ms. Adams.
Dr. Goodwin, Dr. Shannon, school board members, and to everyone assembled, good evening. Southampton Technical Career Center celebrates National Career and Technical Education Month 2022. Southampton County Public Schools students and faculty will join others across the nation during the month of February to celebrate National CTE Month. This year's theme is Celebrate Today, Own Tomorrow. During CTE Month, students in CTE programs across the country are provided an opportunity to demonstrate how the CTE program educates them to be college, career, and life ready. This in turn prepares students for high-wage, high-tech, and high-demand career fields. The special activity schedule will illustrate the relevance and rigor CTE courses provide our students. By partnering with the business community, CTE programs are investing in students' lives, exposing them to skills that will prepare them to become successful employees and future leaders. You have before you a publication, Volume 1, Issue 1, and it's so pictured, work-based learning experiences count 20 8th grade Foundation of Agriculture, Food, and Natural Resource students lead the way in completing service learning projects, and they are so pictured. Culinary arts students host the Guidance Counselors Luncheon in the Wigwam, as well as agriculture students apply greenhouse skills and work in the traditional garden, as is pictured on the first page. In addition, on page 2 of the issue, Volume 1, Issue 1, Industry credentialing is highlighted. Students have opportunities to earn state-approved industry credentials. Congratulations to CTE students who have accomplished this goal for 21-22. The list will increase as testing will continue during the month of February and beyond. 120 industry credentials were earned in 2021. At this point, approximately 99 credentials have been earned by our students, so we congratulate them. And on the third page, celebrate today, own tomorrow. The Southampton County Public Schools CTE program is comprised of 7 program areas, and they are so listed. But most importantly, we salute our CTE teachers. At the high school level, we have approximately 10, and they are so listed by their program area of instruction. At the middle school, we have approximately 3 regular CTE teachers, and they are so listed as well as their instructional programs, along with 5 career investigation program teachers. And last but not least, I would like to acknowledge the College and Career Fair. It will take place on Wednesday, February the 23rd, 2022, 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. in Southampton High School Gymnasium. Colleges, universities, community professionals, and the military will attend the fair. Among those attending, and they are also listed, Dominion Generation Dominion Energy, Advanced Technology Institute, Southampton Power Station, Intellect Techs Incorporated, Summit Design and Engineering, Hampton Farms, the Children's Center, and Paul D. Camp Community College. Students will interact with educators and professionals, career professionals, about college and career options. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Thank you for that information about career and technical education. We are down to item 4, number 4 on our agenda, which will be matters from previous meetings. And I want to give an update on the joint meeting with the Board of Supervisors. So let me provide some context, first of all. If you remember, at our December 2021 meeting, our board unanimously agreed to decline the invitation from the Board of Supervisors to attend the December meeting of the Board of Supervisors to give our thoughts and reflections on the Board of Supervisors' resolution in support of parental rights. At that same meeting in December, our board agreed to propose that the Board of Supervisors and the school board have a joint meeting. And the purpose of that meeting would be to discuss the Board of Supervisors' resolution in support of parental rights. We proposed that the meeting would be led by an experienced facilitator and that the meeting would be open to the public. The purpose of that joint meeting would be to attempt to reach some consensus to determine whether or not the Board of Supervisors' resolution in support of parental rights would be beneficial to the students and citizens of Southampton County. At its December meeting, the Board of Supervisors voted to table its action on the resolution in support of parental rights until after we had our joint meeting. At our January meeting, Dr. Shannon reported that Charles W. Hartgrove had been identified as a possible facilitator for the meeting, and that she and Mr. Johnson, who is the county administrator, would work with Mr. Hartgrove to establish the agenda for the meeting. Now, Mr. Hartgrove is the director of the Virginia Institute of Government. The Virginia Institute of Government, VIG, is a unit of the Weldon Cooper Center for Public Service. It was established in 1994 by the Virginia General Assembly. The purpose of VIG is to provide training, technical assistance, and information resources to its member local governments. And Southampton County is a member of the Virginia Institute of Government. And getting back to Mr. Hartgrove, he has served as Deputy Commissioner of the Virginia Department of Taxation. He served as Deputy City Manager of Lynchburg. He served as a Town Manager for Ashland, Middleburg, and Gate City. And he is also International City County Management Association credentialed. Now, the VIG does facilitate board, council, leadership team meetings. So for that reason, we thought that Mr. Hartgrove would be an acceptable candidate. And also, he knows Mike Johnson, who is the county administrator, so they do know each other. Well, Dr. Shannon and Mr. Johnson, the county administrator, met with Mr. Hartgrove to discuss the purpose of the joint meeting and to talk about possible dates for the meeting. At its January 2022 meeting, though, the Board of Supervisors rejected Mr. Hartgrove as meeting facilitator. They meaning the Board of Supervisors, did not propose an alternate meeting facilitator. At its January 2022 meeting, the Board of Supervisors also objected to limiting the focus of the joint meeting to the Board of Supervisors' resolution in support of parental rights. The Board of Supervisors, it appears, wants a representative from the Virginia Department of Education to attend the meeting to provide information about culturally responsive teaching. However, the Virginia Department of Education does not provide that kind of service. The Department of Education does have on its website resources that interested individuals can use to learn more about culturally responsive teaching, but it does not have an individual to go out and provide on-site training for interested individuals. So at this point, no additional plans have been made for a joint meeting of the Southampton County School Board and the Southampton County Board of Supervisors. So my question to you board members is, where do we go from here? What do you think our next steps should be?
I think we need to meet. I think we need to get this fixed.
What can we do to fix it?
I'm really thinking, instead of doing just the resolution that they were looking at earlier, is that we get together and try to fix the morale between the two boards. I'm tired of picking up the paper and reading where the Board of Supervisors has not been given this. They have asked for meetings, they have not been told when. They don't get any communication from us. And I feel like that we need to sit down and get all this aired out and get it straight. That's just my opinion.
And somebody else, what's your thinking? Where do we go from here? I mean, because that was the intent. Because you can't address all issues at one meeting. Meetings are not productive if you have a 20-item agenda. So you have to have a specific agenda and a specific purpose for a meeting, in my opinion. And you also have to have a facilitator to make sure that people stay on track and that people are not just dominating the conversation. But Mr. Pope, you were about to say something.
I have no problem doing the joint meeting, like we said. We just need an agenda, like we said. We need a date to convene for everybody. A facilitator with
because it just seems like there's just a lot between the two, and I think a neutral party in the middle would help tremendously. But like you said, the Department of Education does not do that. They don't send anybody out to do that. Have they come back with another person, or maybe we need to check with them and see, who do you want?
They don't have a person to represent.
Well, why do they not want this lady?
Now, I can only go by what the Tidewater News reported, because I don't know their thinking. But the Tidewater News reported that Mr. Edwards said that he had checked on this man and that this Mr. Hartwell was not, I've forgotten the wording, but based on, do you remember that, Jan?
I don't. I do know, though, that they took issue with the fact that they thought that I unilaterally selected the facilitator, which was not true. Mike and I both talked. Mike and I communicated quite frequently about, this gentleman.
And that seems to be a big problem, is you're getting a little piece of what is actually the truth and what is actually going on, and you take it at one little spot that you feel like is it, and it just blows out of proportion. And it doesn't need to be aired out in the newspaper. It needs to be done between the two boards.
Ms. Rose?
Why don't we get together, that's the board, everybody, they don't want to take our name, not them being there. So we'll get, maybe not the whole board representative, maybe one of their representatives, pick up and pick them all together, whatever. That way, one side can say, well, you make it yours, and you make it yours. It would be like he's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my concern is, well, let's hear from Ms. Bunn.
And unfortunately, I think we've been down that path. We met with the chairman and vice chairman of each of the representative boards, and we've been down that path. And unfortunately, where I see this is right now, it's a trust issue between the two boards. So it's easy enough to say, let's get together and let's have a meeting and let's fix this. We may walk out of the room thinking that we had a wonderful meeting, and that doesn't mean that the next week we're not going to see something in the paper or see something on social media where they're undermining something else. I think we're still at a point that I like the concept or the idea of a facilitator, because we've got to understand clearly what each other's roles are and how we're going to move forward working together in unison to do what is best for this county. This back and forth manipulating of putting something in the Tidewater News or waiting until we have a meeting or bashing a board on social media is not doing anything to benefit this county.
No,
It's not. So when we sit together as boards, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to fix it in one meeting, because right now we've got to develop trust between these boards again. That is a process. And I would like to think that we're going to come together as two boards and sit and meet, but we've got to develop mutual respect for each other again. And that mutual respect has to begin with them trusting us as well. I mean, it's not all going to be fixed in one meeting, and they can't come to us expecting to say, we're going to ask you some questions and you need to tell us everything and we're going to fix you. It's like they want us to come to the table so that they can fix us. That's just my 2 cents.
Mr. Worship?
I'm sitting here looking at name Mr. Hargrove. I think he is representative probably of the counties and localities organization.
Say again now?
Mr. Hargrove is a representative of the counties and localities organization. Is that correct?
Correct. He is director of the Virginia Institute of Government, and that's an organization that Southampton County belongs to. And that is the organization that works with local governments in terms of training in terms of, whether it's facilitating local government officials with strategic planning, or whether it's professional development. And that's what that organization does. That's what Mr. Hartgrove does.
Well, it seems to me that he was rejected by the Board of Supervisors for what reason? Because he is representative of their group.
Correct.
And just by that, we have more interest with that group than really would of ours. I don't think it will work out there, but I think facilitators need it, no matter how we meet, whether we serve tea or crumpets or whatever, to get this thing done. We do have a trust issue here that we've got to resolve. And if we don't resolve it, it's just going to fester. And the longer it festers, the worse it is for the county, and the worse it is for our students. That's the thing that we need to look out for. Has a suggestion been made to have maybe the two chairmen of both groups sit down and just between them?
Well, I'm not willing to do that. We did have a meeting back in July with Mr. Edwards, Mr. Gillette, Mr. Pope, me, Dr. Shannon, and Mr. Johnson. Now, if we have another meeting like that, I think that meeting needs to be open to the public so that the public can see firsthand what the conversation is. And I think it should be open so that any board member who wants to come can participate. So I do not want to have another meeting with just the chair and vice chair. I think that would not accomplish a whole lot. So we need to move beyond saying that we're just going to have, you know, the chair and the vice chairs to meet. I don't see how that addresses the need, because we know that we operate as a board and individuals cannot make decisions for boards. So if we're going to have a meeting, I believe it should be open to the public, and as many board members as will, or who are interested, should be able to attend that meeting.
Would it be beyond us to give them about 3 dates for the meeting? So this is when we want you to meet with us. We'll meet here, or meet at the Board of Supervisors auditorium.
What's going to be the purpose of the meeting?
I think there seems to be numerous things we can discuss. One, this resolution.
Okay.
And number two, the trust issue between the two groups. Why don't you trust us? What have we done to make you not trust us?
Okay.
And establish those 3 dates, or 2 or 3 dates, or whatever it may be, and just say, okay, we're going to meet at this time, we'd like you to come. If they refuse to come, then I don't know what else we can do.
Okay. So at that meeting, would our board have a facilitator? I mean, who would facilitate the meeting?
I think we ought to come up with a facilitator. If they can't agree with Mr. Hargrove, who is representative of their group, I don't know who else to say we can get that will please them.
Mr. Scott, you haven't weighed in yet.
I definitely think the meeting needs to be had, ma'am. We obviously have some issues to work out. Maybe, as Mr. Worship alluded to, we should let them pick another mediator for the meeting. But it definitely needs to be had rather than having issues aired out in the Taiwan news when we can sit down as adults and work these things out.
Well, would you please look at your calendars now and come up with 3 dates that we could propose to have a meeting? And as you look at your calendars, because I think what I hear, the consensus seems to be that we are willing to have a joint meeting. We do want to have a joint meeting. However, that meeting needs to be open to the public, and it needs to not be limited to, you know, the chair and the vice chair. It should be a meeting open to the public. That means it has to be advertised, and it has to be open to the public.
I think, Dr. Goodman, I think it should be open to the public.
I agree.
There's enough been said out there that the public knows about, and they need to hear exactly what is fact and what is fiction.
I agree.
And I do agree that there probably needs to be a pre-planned agenda, because it's not going to do anything to help trust issues or to help respect if people come in here with a 25-question agenda that nobody like a facilitator, and we could ask that Dr. Shannon and Mike Johnson together locate a facilitator that would be acceptable to the board.
That's what we did.
I agree. No, I understand, but I think that we can put that recommendation back out there so that they understand very clearly that the two of you together are working on it. I think part of it before was, you're right, they said that you had found that facilitator on your own, which you had not. So if we make the directive very clear that we're asking the two of them to work together to come up with a mutually acceptable facilitator. Because if we don't have anybody to facilitate the meeting, how is it going to be productive?
And I would like to say that Mike Johnson sent an email to them clarifying that I did not unilaterally select the facilitator, but that he was a part of it. So,
and that's why I think we need to be clear in when we ask for a meeting, that we say part of our request is that the two of you together find a facilitator so that they understand that you're working in conjunction to do that. But I just fear that if we don't have a facilitator, I don't want a meeting to become something that's a public spectacle and a free-for-all.
I would suggest that when we reply, we say we want Mr. Hartgrove to be the facilitator. Because Mr. Johnson and Dr. Shannon have already spent time identifying this, this person. So to say that they have to now go out and do more research, more investigation, and contact more people, that's just a time-consuming task when they have identified a person that they think would work in a communication to the board. Mr. Johnson, what did he say to the board? That he agrees that, well, I forgot what he said. He actually provided a brief synopsis of the last meeting that he and I had with Charles Hartgrove. And he just kind of recapped everything, that Mr. Hartgrove did agree to be the facilitator. And, there was no pushback about him being the facilitator between, Mike and I. He also shared that the board's understanding is that the meeting at hand remains subject to the inclusion of a representative from the Superintendent of Public Instruction's cabinet, who's able to speak knowledgeably and answer questions about the content of the cultural competency training currently mandated by Code 22.1-298-7 of the Code of Virginia. And I'm reading verbatim from this email. He conveyed that Dr. Shannon shared that notwithstanding significant effort, she's been unable to coordinate attendance by a representative from the Superintendent of Public Instruction's cabinet, given the turnover associated with the gubernatorial transition. But after this email from him, BDOE did email me back and said that they did not perform that type of service, and they made other recommendations. And then he said, we briefly discussed the executive order number 1 and mutually agreed that additional time is necessary to see how it might affect, it might affect the content of the cultural competency training. And then he says that Dr. Shannon shared that she is enrolled and will soon participate in some cultural competency training as required by law, which will give me a better understanding of, what it entails. He said he shared that the board's concerns in limiting the joint meeting agenda to one topic, and his understanding that the agenda for the meeting at hand will either be expanded to include other matters or subject to mutual agreement that an additional joint meeting will be held to discuss them. He goes on to say that we mutually agree that it is highly unlikely that a member of the Superintendent of Public Instruction staff will be available for our tentative meeting date of February the 8th through the 9th. We mutually agree that the joint meeting to discuss the cultural competency training should be postponed until the impact of Executive Order number 1 are better understood and the representative of the superintendent's cabinet is available to participate. And 3 times we mentioned superintendent's cabinet, and I told you that they don't provide that service. And then Dr. Shannon agreed to carry the Board of Supervisors' request to meet with the school board on other issues to the school board for their consideration. And, Dr. Goodwin has spoken a little bit about that tonight.
We mutually agreed that a meeting to discuss other issues should include all members of both boards and be open to the public, not a closed meeting with a smaller group. Subject to the school board's willingness to meet on other issues, I agreed, and this is Mike, to compile a list of questions that the Board of Supervisors would like to discuss in advance of the meeting and provide them to Dr. Shannon so that they are prepared to respond and the meeting may be more productive. And this was via an email to me by Mike Johnson.
Part of the problem is that if the Board of Supervisors wants to know more about culturally relevant teaching, there's nothing that prohibits them from reading about it, going to a workshop. They can do that on their own. So to think that it becomes our responsibility to educate them about what culturally responsive teaching is, I think is part of the problem. Because there are books out there. The Virginia Department of Education has a resource list, a website. So anybody who's interested in what culturally relevant teaching means in the Commonwealth of Virginia can Google it and get a whole page of videos, reading selections, so the board could educate itself, the Board of Supervisors could educate itself about what is meant about culturally relevant teaching in Virginia. So to say that we can't have a meeting until they understand the meaning of culturally relevant teaching just seems like as a distraction. No.
It seems to me that they should be thinking more about things that they're in charge of. You know, like building the roads,
Broadband.
So we don't have to continue paying all that tax. I don't understand why why they are so wrapped up in what's going on over here. So we don't know. So they need to bring money in and do your job.
Right.
So we gotta get everything right.
So were you able, I agree, were you able to check their calendars for possible dates? And I think maybe we need to look at maybe dates in March, maybe, so that we have enough time to publish the meeting and get feedback from the Board of Supervisors. So are there any dates in March that everybody would be available? What was that, Ms. Bradley? Well, somebody proposed a date. We know that our meeting is the second Monday, so it can't be the second Monday. I think the Board of Supervisors meets on the fourth Tuesday, so it can't be the fourth Tuesday.
Sooner the better.
Okay, so
Can't let this go on.
so give me a date. You want to say March what?
10th.
Okay, March 10th. Anybody with another date?
Can everybody do March 10th, or is there any conflicts?
Well, we wanted to
I would say let's make sure March 10th can
works for all of us.
Yeah, March 10th work for everybody? Yeah. Yeah. All
Okay.
right. Probably need a second.
So March 10th is a Thursday. So we've proposed Thursday, March 10th. What's another date?
Go to the next week.
Well, I'm going to be out of, I'm going to be out of town March 16th through the 20th.
Do you want to do the 15th, get a date for next week?
Okay, so March 15th. March 10, March 15. Right, be back-to-back meetings for us.
What is
Well, see, I would think that the board wouldn't take any action until after its meeting on the 22nd. When is the next Board of Supervisors meeting? I could be wrong.
What'd you say, there's a fourth Tuesday?
Yeah, but that wouldn't be right because there is no fourth Tuesday in this one.
Yeah, it is, the 22nd is the fourth
22nd?
Tuesday.
Okay.
So we could give them a date that first week of March, which would be like the first, second, third, fourth.
Okay.
About the third.
For March 3rd.
We have a school board work session scheduled for the 3rd at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So do you want to do first?
Okay.
First or second? You could do a Tuesday, Wednesday.
So is everybody free March 2nd? So we will propose that we have a joint meeting March 2nd, March 10th, March 15th, pending the availability of Mr. Hartgrove to serve as facilitator. March, we said March 2nd, March 10th, March 15th, 10, 15.
That gives us a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. We pick 3 different days of the week.
Okay, and this is pending of availability of Mr. Hartgrove or a person with similar credentials to serve as facilitator. So pending the availability of Mr. Hartgrove or a person with similar credentials to serve as facilitator.
How about the site of the meeting? I think that's important.
Say it again now.
The site of the meeting, where we're going to have it.
I would suggest we need to have it in this space, perhaps. Here. Yeah, because this space, I think, would accommodate the Board of Supervisors, the 7 of them, as well as the 9 of us. Don't you think? Or
I was thinking of a neutral site somewhere. That way we can't say we're meeting at your place or we're meeting at their place, whatever.
Well,
I think a neutral site would probably be better.
Okay.
Still.
well, initially we planned to meet at the Workforce Development Center, and when we had set the earlier dates, we knew that there was there was availability at the Workforce Development Center. So I guess we could try the Workforce Development Center.
I mean, that's just my opinion.
No, I agree with you, and that's what we had planned originally, was to meet at a neutral site, which was over at the Workforce Development Center.
If we want it open to the public, could we accommodate that at the workforce development center?
Well, they were going to use a large room at Workforce Development Center that would accommodate an audience. So we're saying March 2nd, 10, or 15, pending the availability of Mr. Hartgrove or a facilitator with similar credentials, and pending the availability of the work of a space at the Workforce Development Center. Is that what we're saying? So, Mr. Worsham, is that what we're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Ms. Bud? Mr. Pope? Mr. Scott? Ms. Bradley? Ms. Reynolds? Okay, so we all agree that Dr. Shannon will contact Mr. Johnson in that correspondence. Dr. Shannon will propose to Mr. Johnson that we are willing to meet, to hold a joint meeting with the Board of Supervisors on March 2nd, March 10th, or March 15th, pending the availability of Mr. Hartgrove or a facilitator with similar credentials to facilitate the meeting, and pending the availability of space at the Workforce Development Center. The purpose of the meeting will be to, discuss roles and responsibilities of the respective boards and to discuss the resolution, the Board of Supervisors resolution concerning parental rights. I mean, I'm trying to capture what we've agreed. So that we know that we're there to discuss roles and responsibilities, and to discuss that parental rights resolution.
Are we saying that other items will be on the agenda at that meeting, or we'll have a subsequent meeting and allow them to submit questions in advance, and then we respond?
See, I don't think a meeting, I see a difference between an answer session and a meeting. So to me, a meeting is not, I prepare a list of questions and you come in and answer my questions. That's not a meeting. That's not a discussion. To me, that's an inquisition. I've got questions and I'm going to make you come in and answer my questions. To me, that's not in the spirit of cooperation. That's not in the spirit of respect for the work of another. So that's an interrogation. Yeah. So from where I sit, Dr. Shannon, I'm not in favor of having them submit a list of questions that they want us to answer, because that's an interrogation.
And
But
pending this meeting that we have, in March, on whether or not we have enough. I mean, I'm not opposed to another one, but it depends on how this meeting goes. I mean, if this meeting is something that they feel like is open and that we can discuss this stuff, and then next, have another meeting to continue on, that's no problem. But I'm like, Mr. Scott just said, I'm not going for an interrogation.
okay. So, because for me, if they want to meet with us and say, okay, we want to have a meeting to look at your capital improvement plan and see how your capital improvement plan fits with the county's capital improvement plan. That's a meeting. We can talk about that. If they want to meet with us and say, we want to discuss how we can increase broadband access for the citizens and students of Southampton County, we can discuss that. But to give us a list of questions and say, we want to know, that's not a meeting. Yeah. So. Right. So.
After 40 years, Southampton population is growing by 0.
So I guess, Dr. Shannon, the answer to that is we are open to additional meetings, but the meetings would have to be on agreed upon topics for discussion. It will not be a question and answer session, but we can have topics for discussion for future meetings.
Depending on how this meeting flows,
Right.
we can determine as to whether or not at the meeting itself, whether or not we're going to need another meeting or another 2 meetings or maybe quarterly or whatever we have to do.
Right.
But let's look at how this meeting is going to flow and then decide from there where we need to go with another meeting.
So at this meeting, we will determine, we will decide whether or not we need next steps. We will decide on next steps at this meeting. So we all agree? Okay, so I think that's unanimous.
So I think it shows up under action items, so I guess.
Well, it shows up twice, because I did.
So I guess we're not going to vote yet, we'll wait until we discuss it under action items, because right now we're just in matters from previous.
Right, so it'll come back. We got a few minutes.
Let that rest,
So now we are down to public comment. So we are now going to move into the public comment period of our meeting. Although Virginia law does not require us to hold a public comment period, the Southampton County School Board chooses to do so because we believe it's important for us to hear from our community members. The Southampton County School Board values public participation and recognizes the importance of receiving public input on issues affecting the education of children in our county. The public comment period is the time for citizens and residents to express their views in order to inform the Southampton County School Board. Therefore, please do not expect board members to respond to comments or to answer questions during the public comment period. Because we encourage public comments, we do ask that you respectfully follow a few guidelines. First, individuals wishing to speak should have signed up for public comment before the start of the meeting. Second, there is a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. This time limit was created so that as many persons, as many members of the public as possible who wish to speak could do so, while still allowing sufficient time for the board to conduct other necessary business. We do have a visible timer so that speakers will know how much time is available. Speakers cannot give their time to other people to increase the speaking time or another. Speakers should address their comments to the board, not to the superintendent or other audience members. And we also ask audience members to refrain from comments, demonstrations such as booing, hissing, and clapping. But I want to thank everybody who's here tonight. And at this time, we have one person who signed up for public comment, and that is Mr. Wes Bryant.
Good evening to you all. I'm here for this. It was brought to my attention, I wasn't able to actually make it to the meeting that y'all held about these because my family actually was down with COVID that came from this school system. It ran through my house. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old that go to Maharan Elementary. My 6-year-old is in first grade. He goes to school every day. He sits 6 feet apart from people that he could not recognize outside of his class. There's not a person sitting at this table, some of y'all I know personally. I've gotten to know some of y'all through the years, and not a one of y'all have gone through what any of these kids are going through right now. Their childhood is being taken away from them. I have a kid that has severe allergies that comes home daily in either a paper mask or wet that keeps a rash around his face. A first grader should not come home and tell his dad he hates school. Because if he does this, he's reprimanded. But yet, when we go and pick up, we see administrators, we see teachers, we see people outside. And I'm not a proponent of these, and I could care less whether they wear them. Wish they wouldn't. But I don't understand how I'm supposed to tell my children that they are enforced to wear this and are reprimanded by their teachers and their administrators when they're not willing to follow the same protocols. You all stated in the last meeting that y'all would revisit when the numbers went down. I have been tracking every day since that meeting. The numbers that came out today, there were 5 kids positive in the public school system as an entirety, with over, correct me if I'm wrong, over 2,000 people between administrators, students, staff, everybody involved in this school system. That is less than 1%. That we are making everybody hide their faces and the kids cannot be kids. Not only that, but if we are really going by all of the guidelines, the 6 feet apart, that my son has to sit in his class and eat his lunch and stay 6 feet apart, why is he continued to have to wear this? The same CDC that y'all are going by the recommendations also states that these do no good. So, unless we are willing to provide the N95s to all the students, all the faculty, everyone in the school system that is entering it on a daily basis, I'm not really sure what good any of this is doing. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Again, I want to thank everybody who, thank Mr. Brown for speaking, thank everybody who attended tonight's meeting. The next item on the agenda is the financial report and payment of bills. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, Ms. Carr will come to the podium and discuss the financial report and payment of bills.
Good evening, all. If I can bring your attention to the preliminary expenditure report for the month of January. If you'll notice, our revised budget is at $34,028,094.71. The actual expenditures through January 31st total $15,478,790.44. This leaves us a balance in the operating budget as of January 31st of $18,549,304.27. Please note that as of the date of this report, 45.49% has been expended from the operating budget. Now, the January bill list has been attached to the agenda for the board's approval tonight. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
Make a motion to pay the bills as presented.
A motion by Mr. Pope, the second by Ms. Bradley, that we pay the bills as presented. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the wellness days for second semester. Dr. Shannon?
Yes. At the November school board meeting, the school board approved the Incentivizing Excellence Plan. And that plan focuses on health and the well-being of our teachers and students. And so tonight I have Dr. Taylor, who's going to come to the podium and talk with you about our proposal for wellness days for the second semester. In November, I only presented days the first semester. We also recognize that the employees' health and wellness, that it may influence school culture, school climate, and instructional delivery, which will in turn impact the students' well-being and inherently contribute to the students' educational performance. So that is one of the reasons why we are requesting these additional wellness days for our staff. Dr. Taylor?
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, Mr. Pope, board members, Dr. Shannon again. In your packet, you should have a list of days that we're proposing. We did have a committee to get together and look at days that we maybe could give our employees for wellness days, as Dr. Shannon just explained. The purpose of these days is so that people can just relax, take a break, because once they're stressed, as Dr. Shannon read, that it's going to decrease productivity and the teachers are not going to be at their full potential. And due to COVID, the pandemic, we have had some teachers that have been burned out. So we want to just recognize them and let them know that we appreciate them by proposing wellness days. Those days are March 4th, March 18th, April 1st, April 15th, and May 6th. There are 5 proposed days. We will still meet our 990 school clock hours if you all do approve this. Any questions?
Well, of course, my comment to Dr. Shannon, when you proposed this, is that I believe students need 180 instructional days. And Dr. Shannon has assured me that students will still have the 180 instructional days, even if we,
They won't have 180 instructional days. They will have the hours. They will have enough hours. But they won't have the days because we're missing these days.
Okay.
But they will have enough hours for us to meet accreditation. So we'll still be in compliance.
Okay. So you have the number of hours.
And that's just for second semester.
Right, and of course, a couple of things. One is that when we did this in the fall, those were days that the district shut down. So this schedule applies not just to teachers, but it applies to everybody, right? Because I thought in the fall, when we said wellness days, it wasn't just in the instructional buildings, it was everybody. So these would be days that Southampton County Public Schools will be closed because everybody's impacted by COVID. I think we need to understand that. And two, you know, we need to, if we say learning loss has occurred because of virtual instruction, and then we address learning loss by decreasing the number of hours we provide, I don't quite know how that works. But I want to hear what somebody else is thinking. Mr. Worship.
The question I got, how does that affect the spring break day?
It does not.
You still get the spring break.
Yes, sir.
So April, when is spring break? I don't have that in front of me. It's in April, right?
Yes, sir, I can tell you.
Anybody know when spring break
Mr. Hatch,
is?
is it the 11th to the 15th of April? The next week, the 18th to the 22nd. Thank you.
And what are April 12 days again?
The 1st and 15th. So that Good Friday, which is now a half day, will actually be a full day at home if you all approve this.
So spring break is April
18th through 22nd.
Okay, so the 15th, which is Good Friday,
Yes, ma'am.
right, was going to be a half day anyway.
That's correct.
Okay, so then that's just making that a full day, and then school is going to be closed that week of April the 18th through the 23rd, correct?
Yes, ma'am. School buildings, 1,200 employees still.
And then we're saying people need another wellness day 2 weeks later? So you come back to work on, you know, April the 25th, but then you need another wellness day on May the 6th.
Our thinking in that, when we looked at that as a committee, was that SOL testing would begin the next week. So we just wanted to give a little break there, but we can adjust this however you all want.
If you look at the second page, we actually implemented a survey, and our teachers participated and responded. And an overwhelming number were in favor of this particular calendar here, as opposed to a calendar where they were allowed 4-day weekends, but they were like further, they were spread it out.
And I guess for me, the concern is just the loss of instructional time. That we go from providing 380 hours of instruction to providing 351 hours of instruction. So although we're within the confines of what's required by the state, but do we just want to do the minimum? I mean, if we say learning loss occurred, do we address learning loss by decreasing learning time?
Well, one of the things that we are proposing to address learning loss is additional tutoring, and that tutoring will occur before school and in some instances after school, as well as bringing on additional parents to assist students with more direct instruction. So although the time will increase, they still will receive quality instruction. And if these teachers are allowed to have wellness days, then I believe that you will have a refreshed teacher who is standing before a kid as opposed to someone who is just drained, you know, and just kind of there to be there, but not really at 100%. They loved it. It was great. It worked out well.
Of course they, I mean, who would not love it, but for me, you know, I don't get May the 6th. I mean, I truly don't, but that's just, no, don't change it, just, you know, just drop it, because May the 6th is 2 weeks after Easter. So I don't know why, you know, having 4 wellness days wouldn't work. And students have at least a few more hours of instruction.
With this care program, we still need the necessary hours that you allotted to be effective.
We have the minimum, yes. We have the minimum, but do we want minimum? I mean, that's just like, you know.
I think what we've been going through lately, I would agree that they need this day.
You would agree that
That they need that day.
So they just need the time to do nothing. Okay, so we can, you know, but, right. Like I said, this is for everybody, not just teachers, you know, so it's for all Southampton County employees. We get the 5 wellness days. Yes, so everybody, I mean, so regardless of whether you're a teacher or cafeteria worker, you know, whatever, it's just 5 wellness days. Yes, Mr. Worship?
How will this affect SOL testing preparation? I mean, I don't quite understand. If we miss before SOL, and that's the time that the teachers can use to work, I guess, toward review.
Yes, sir.
Would it be better to set up the wellness days after SOLs, after everyone's gone through that, and at which end over giving SOL? That in itself is a tense situation.
And it looks like they were just trying to do like a day every 2 weeks or something.
Trying to spread it out a little bit instead of doing, I understand what you're saying.
I'm just suggesting that
Right.
maybe they need time more after SOLs rather than right before SOLs. That's all I'm suggesting.
Right, and according to Dr. Shannon, this is the schedule the teachers prefer.
And SOL testing is almost all the way to the end of the school year.
Yeah.
Once we do expedites and makeups.
Any other discussion? Mr. Pope, Ms. Bond, any other discussion?
I'm in favor.
Okay.
Chose to stay up
Ms. Bond?
And I would probably agree with Dr. Shannon. I think that just because this year has been an unprecedented year with everything that they're having to deal with, I think that even though they're not in the classroom and we're cutting down the number of hours, if you can give them the wellness day that they have time to recuperate and reset, or your hours that you're in there actually more productive if you have a wellness day and have time to regenerate and renew yourself. So even though it's less hours, are they more productive hours while you're there?
Okay. Ms. Bradley?
I agree.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion by Ms. Bradley, a second by Mr. Scott, to approve the retention, health, and wellness incentives, which would close Southampton County Public Schools on March 14th, March 18th, April 1st, April 15th, and May the 6th. And those will be days that the entire school system will be closed. So any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is the bus drive incentive program grant. Dr. Shannon?
Sure. The Virginia Department of Education made available an opportunity for school divisions to apply for the school bus driver incentive grant. And Mr. Melby actually wrote our grant for our school division. And Southampton County Public Schools received $29,744.
Yeah, Mr. Melby.
And the grant is for driver recruitment and retention strategies, to help address critical shortage of school bus drivers. And so I'd like to ask Mr. Melby to come forward and talk a little bit more about the grant and what he has proposed as far as the distribution of funds.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, Board. With this grant, and the original grant that we applied for was up to $50,000, but no school division was given that, in the small section, was given the full amount. So we were very excited to receive the $29,744 from the state. The program that I have proposed to Dr. Shannon for a retention bonus for our drivers And this is in addition to any other bonus that the division has already approved. It would be 3 installments of $250 each for a total of $750. They would get $250 when they sign their contract at the end of the school year for the next school year. $250 December the 1st of 2022, and then final $250 June 1st of 2023. So it would entice them to stay on and continue to work with us.
So this would affect, this would affect the next school year because the first bonus would not be awarded until June, correct?
Correct, until their 2022-2023 contract is signed.
Okay. And you see that it's only for bus drivers who have a CDL. So, so it would not affect car drivers or, but it's CDL carrying bus drivers. Any questions, Mr. Miller?
Ma'am?
How many car drivers?
48.
This grant was for bus drivers, not just transportation people, but it's for bus drivers. So, this is, it covers a very specific group. And I think it's exciting. Thank you, Mr. Melvin, for writing the grant. And I'm sure that the bus drivers would appreciate the $750. But do we have a motion to approve the bus driver incentive program grant? I have a motion by Mr. Scott, a second by Ms. Vaughn. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
And thank you for doing the grant, because I agree. I think right now for our bus drivers, anything we can do to incentivize them is great. So thank you for doing that extra stuff.
No problem.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're back to the meeting request, and I think we have that ironed out. As I said before, the Board of Supervisors has asked to, well, let me back up. Back in July, we had a meeting with Mr. Edwards, Mr. Gillette, Mr. Pope, me, Mr. Johnson, and Dr. Shannon. So that was a small group.
You just need the motion.
No, I'm saying, forget the motion. I wanted to just get the background a little bit about the meeting request. So we had that meeting back in July, a small group meeting back in July. We've only had one such small group meeting. However, we have had invitations from the Board of Supervisors to have additional small group meetings, but we have not had those. So what we have agreed to tonight, I think, is to have a joint board meeting. So if I could get a board member to put in the form of a motion the information that we discussed earlier, Ms. Bunn. So what's the motion?
You got it all written down. So I think we decided we were going to make a motion to offer 3 dates for us as a board to meet with the Board of Supervisors. Those dates being March 2nd, 10th, and 15th as availability dates, pending availability of the facilitator, Mr. Hargrove, and availability of Workforce Development Center, and for the meeting agenda to be their resolution on parental rights, and there's another topic, what was the other one? And roles and responsibilities of the board.
That was it.
So I make a motion.
And we said that Mr. Hargrove or a person with similar credentials. So that's the motion made by Ms. Vaughn. Do we have a second? Have a second by Mr. Worship. So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. So that's the end of our action items. So we're down to informational items. Also, Dr. Shannon.
Yes, at the core of our function as school professionals is to provide quality teaching and instructional delivery to our students. Each month, we detail the events that are occurring with teaching, instruction, and assessment of our students. Tonight, we have Ms. Gillette, our curriculum director, who will come forward and talk with you all about balanced assessment, testing updates, and school pride. Thank you, Ms. Gillette.
Good evening again. So I do have the February instructional report for you. And as Dr. Shannon said, we'll talk about balanced assessment, the alternative assessments, testing updates, and school pride. With the Virginia Department of Education balanced assessment, as you can recall, and we've discussed this before, in 2014, they took away the test SOL assessments for 3rd grade science, 3rd grade history, 5th grade writing, United States 1, and United States 2, the 6th and 7th grade history. In place of that, they have alternative assessments. We have been doing those since then. So the VDOE has added that we need to have a balanced assessment with the alternative assessments, which means that we need to make sure that we're covering a few objectives and not just one. The whole purpose of the alternative assessments and this balanced assessment is we want to be able to have the students be more hands-on, do projects, not just have multiple choice and fill in the blanks. So we want to provide our students with those opportunities in the history classes, in that science class and the writing in 5th grade. So we do have a balanced assessment team. We did meet on the 7th with the elementary, which was Grayson Hasty, Sarah Morris, and Stacy Tingen. We met with middle school, Alicia Johnston with 6th grade history, US 1, and with Regina Zollkoffer, US 2. We're going to continue the alternative assessment for those subjects, and we're going to continue to develop a balanced assessment plan that's in progress to add and build upon district-wide for performance assessments. So right now we have one that we do, and we have 4 parts. So let's say that our 5th grade writing, they want to integrate it with their history. They choose an SOL from history, maybe a famous person. They do research, they write a paper, they always present the paper. They also take at least one assessment from the division that has to do with the grammar, just as if they were taking the 5th grade SOL. So there are 4 parts. But we want to expand that into just doing more than one 4-part. We'd like to do several 4 parts or several 3 parts. So that's how we're moving forward. There is a timeline that is going to be coming forward for these subject areas that I will share with you in the future. I did want to share with you the standards of learning test dates that the high school had. You can see that on the 19th we did science, on the 20th we did World History 1 and United States History, the 21st was math, and then on the 26th we had US 1 and English 11, non-writing. We have done some of the expedited. You can see that biology and some of the math was done on January 28th. We had US 1 and United States History on the 2nd. On the 3rd was chemistry. And then on the 4th, we had English 11, non-writing. There are still several SOL tests to make up and to have expedited just because of some absences we've had due to COVID isolation or COVID positive. Okay, school pride. As Ms. Bum was mentioning earlier, it's great to hear some positive things in our schools, and I just sent out an email to our principals, and I'd like for them to be up here to do this because hearing them talk about it really made me smile. But each school sent me something that they were proud of in their schools. And the first one was on Friday, Nottoway Elementary celebrated a military homecoming. We actually have one of our teachers here at high school, and his wife came home from deployment, and they surprised their daughter at school. And all the faculty and the students were outside and got to see it, and it was very, very warm and touched your heart. Capron Elementary, because you know Capron's under 200 students, but with their Valentine's Candygrams, they raised $510 for St. Jude's. At Riverdale, they wanted to be greedy. They had 3 things. I put 2 of them on there. I told them to save 1 for next time. But they have completed their 5th grade ocean science projects. And then I just could not resist the book fair picture. Isn't that adorable? That book is bigger than she is. They are loving the book fair. At Meharon, of course, this week is Kindness Week. And many of our schools are doing that, but Meharon wanted to expand on that and show that they have chosen many of our community members, our stores, our fire department, our pre-K is doing them. And they're showing appreciation in many different ways, and they're going to continue to do that all this week. At the middle school, positive referrals. They're really pushing the behavior and integrity of our students, as you saw this evening with Mr. Bell introducing his students. And at the high school on Friday, they held an academic celebration. And over 450 of our students in the high school were recognized for either academic achievement, including principal's list, honor roll, maybe it was CTE certification. They passed their SOL, they had perfect attendance, and you can see the sign right over here. That's where they took pictures. They had a DJ with dance. We have our courtyard in the middle that's been redone, and students, it was a beautiful day on Friday. They were able to go out and talk and socialize. Our new high-top tables, they were able to use those as well. So the students really had an amazing time, and we really want to thank Melissa Edwards and her team and Dr. Blunt for showing our students what it looks like to be appreciated as students. Do we have any questions this evening?
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the budget process. You know that on the budget committee, from the school board perspective, we have Ms. Bond, Mr. Pope, and Mr. Smith. And Mr. Pope chairs the budget committee, the school board budget committee. So, Mr. Pope, any comments?
Yes, ma'am. We've committed from that twice. Like in the past, first time we get together, we get a list of the, what I call wants and needs from the building administrator. Dr. Shannon, we prioritize. This call kind of updates us on where we stand with what we expect to get from the state. And then we met last week and kind of started narrowing things down and prioritizing, making it a reasonable budget that we think we can work with. And actually we're scheduled to meet again this Wednesday. We're going to meet again to discuss it before we present it to the board, I believe, next Thursday. I mean, the 24th, the following Thursday. But that's where we're standing.
Thank you. And thank you for all your hard work on that committee. That's a hard-working committee. But we have some other information, I think, Dr. Shannon, about the budget process.
Yes, we have Ms. Carr, who also is going to make a statement to the board about our process. Ms. Carr?
Good evening again, Mr. Pope. I believe you covered just about everything I was going to discuss, but anyway, like Mr. Pope said, we did have our, the budget committee had its first meeting on January 25th, and they reviewed the proposals from Governor Northam and the projected state revenue that was associated with his budget. They also reviewed the school level budgets that were submitted by the principals after they received input from their staff. The Budget Committee had its second meeting on February the 9th. In this meeting, the committee reviewed requests from the division departments and began to build a draft budget using the input from all levels. The committee decided to meet again on this Wednesday, February 16th, to make any adjustments to the draft budget before it is submitted to the full board on February 24th. Thank you.
Also, tonight, Ms. Artis passed out to each of us this VSBA finance manual, and this is the updated finance manual. And one good thing about this manual is that it talks about the budget process and, where the revenue comes from and how that budget process works. So I think you'll find a lot of good information in this manual. And this is the updated one. You already have an older version, but this is the latest version of the VSBA finance manual that you received tonight. Yes.
February 24th, is that our work session?
Yes, it is 6 p.m.
Yes, February 24th, 6 p.m. The superintendent will present the budget to us on the 24th. Yes. We'll be in this space, yes. The next item is the maintenance, operations, and transportation report. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to call Mr. Miller back to the podium so that he can share the progress that has been made in our maintenance, operations, and transportation department. Mr. Miller?
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you do this?
The fancy cover.
So, backstory on that is that they would pick on me because my presentations were so bland. And so okay, I got you, I can take this and I can run with it. So I've tried each month to get a theme and go with it, so. I know the one last May, Ms. Reynolds asked me about it because it had ties on it. Or not, last June, it had ties on it for positive. That was the only one that didn't quite make sense. But yes, no, Miss Gillette always has the fancy themes and everything, so I had to step up and kind of get to their point. Get to their point. All right, in the maintenance department, we had out back here, we pump our own wastewater out, and we had both pumps fail within 3 days of each other. So right now, we do have temporary pumps in place to maintain our sewer systems here at the high school and middle school. So we're waiting, should it be less than 2 weeks now, for the new pumps to be here and installed. At Cape Wood Elementary, the cafeteria temperature, it kept clicking off, kept going down, couldn't figure it out. Sent out a repairman a couple times, found a wire that was loose, so they repaired the wire. We haven't had any problems since. Here at the high school, we've had a couple of different areas that we had issues, mainly down the 2 and 3 hall. We have a few classrooms that we couldn't maintain the temperature. Found out we had a water flow issue where the hot water was not getting to the right coil. Cleaned those out. They are back and working correctly. At Nottoway, we had a handful of classrooms where we could not regulate the temperature, and there was an actuator issue. The actuator is within the HVAC system that controls the flow of cold and hot water into a classroom. So we've had the HVAC company there. They have adjusted those, and that is, we monitor those daily as well, and they are doing well. All right. In our operations department, the vaccination clinic, last Wednesday and Thursday at the middle school, we had a total of 57 individuals receive their shot. Our campus beautification programs, we are working really hard to make sure the outside of the buildings matches the great things that are going on inside the building. So our last project we did, we just completed putting new mulch around all of the schools. Capron was the last one to get their mulch, and everybody is looking good that way. Now we are moving indoor for our next set of improvements. Climate, the school temperatures are constantly monitored daily. Principals have been great in communicating any issues so that we're able to address them immediately. And if myself, Richard, or the guys can't get it done, then we get we get on it and get a crew in here from one of our, we work with a handful of HVAC companies to make sure we always have somebody that can get to a building. At celebrations, our staffs continue to deliver the cafeteria meals that meet all standards of nutritional guidelines and exceed those of the taste. And this is still in the face of a continued supply chain issue. You guys see, I saw a thing on Facebook, but the grocery store needs to go to the grocery store. They're facing the same kind of pieces that we are in that supply chain. In the transportation department, our routes are continually monitored. We have adjusted since mid-December into January. We've adjusted multiple routes, shifting drivers that had very light loads to areas that had bigger loads, and we were able to reduce the amount of time that kids are on the bus and drivers are on the road. Attendance has been an issue recently. In the last 2 weeks, I think we've had 3 to 5 drivers out regularly. So that's a concern for us continued as well. We've already spoken about the bus driver incentive grant. Thank you for approving that tonight. And after discussion with Edulog this past week, we will begin beta testing with the full-fledged parent portal app, and parents will be able to track their students. The ridership and the tablets will be all put on the buses at Nottoway by the end of this month. So that'll be the start of that program, so parents will be able to track their specific child when they're on the bus, when they get off the bus. So we're very excited about that piece coming in next. Any questions?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
At our, I think it was at our December meeting, we established the ad hoc facilities committee. At our December meeting, we established the ad hoc facilities committee, and that committee is chaired by Ms. Bradley. So Ms. Bradley, any update?
We did meet, we met, Mr. Scott, myself, and Mr. Smith, met with Dr. Shannon and Mr. Melby. We had a very good meeting. We will be getting flyers or surveys out to each building, to the teachers, to whoever, cafeteria, wherever they need to go out to, we're going to go in and inspect. But before we do that, we're asking them to tell us what the problems are. We're going to let them check it out on whatever their room issues are or whatever's going on. We haven't received that yet, so as soon as we get that and get it out, then we're going to go in and schedule inspection. But we have to be mindful too of the SOL testing that is going to be starting up. So we're trying to hopefully get that in before SOL starts. That's about it. We're just still trying to get our feet under us and figure out what it is we're going to do and what we want to do. But like I said, the first meeting we had was very good.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley, and thank you, Mr. Scott, for your hard work on that committee. The next item is the COVID-19 update. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, our nurse, Ms. Rose, is going to make a presentation.
Good evening, everybody. Before I start, I just want to say that I don't know if y'all realized it or not, but 6 of the 13, I think it was, pharmacy tech students are in this nurse aid program as well. So I thought that was just an awesome thing. Give you all my thoughts.
Thank you.
All right, so going forth with the data, I don't know how to work this little clicker, so someone might have to help me, but anyway. Pretty much in the county and within the school system, we have had pretty much the same kind of up and down thing with the spiking of the COVID in the late December, first part of January, and then it started to come down, and it does that for the whole state of Virginia. And for Southampton County. And then for our school systems, there's a graph in there about the positive COVID and quarantine students, and we do pretty much mimic the same kind of data. The only changes that I think had come around is instead of 15 days where they were quarantining. Now they have backed it up to where if a person is positive, they stay home for 5 days, and if they're well, they can return. And if not, then they can, if they have a fever or whatever, then they have to go 24 hours without. And if somebody is quarantining with a household exposure, if the person that was positive, the household member would isolate for 10 days instead of the 15 or so days. The change happened just because of the Omicron variant being spread more easily. The virus was out there. It was a lighter case. I myself had it, just as lots of our staff and students have had it as well. So it was very highly transmissible, but the symptoms came 1 or 2 days before you even knew you had it. But luckily our numbers, like I said, we're about down to nothing in the school systems compared to where we started at right after the holiday break. Let's see. We still are requiring the masks. I know y'all have this, I'm trying to go through it quick. There is a isolation quarantine calculator that CDC or VDH had put on their website, and I thought was interesting, and I thought it was a nice little tool that the nurses and even parents can use to find out how long they need to stay out of work or the kids need to stay out of school. We continue with the vaccination. We have the vaccination clinics, but this is Virginia's vaccination data, and Virginia is 84th in the states. I mean, it's 12th in the states with 84%. The different age groups, you can see the age between 5 and 17 is the lowest, because I guess since it just started, they could have it at that lower age. So in Southampton County, this is our population, and we're around the 50 mark, being fully vaccinated, and the 58 mark, or 59 mark, for at least one of the vaccinations have been given. We have several vaccination clinics that went on. We had one on the 9th of February and also on the 10th of February. And we had persons throughout the county that can come because it's open to the public. We also have scheduled clinics coming up March 2nd and March 3rd, and again, it's open to the public. The VISTA program with the testing in the schools, we've continued to have that, and also have expanded from just having it at the high school and the middle school. Now we've incorporated Catherine, and we incorporated Nottaway, Riverdale, and Maharon as of today. And they had a good turnout with having tests done for staff and the students as well. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have in your packet information about the BSBA Spring Forum. It is going to be a virtual forum. It's on April the 25th. You've seen what the agenda is, and if you are interested, if you know now that you're interested in participating, let Ms. Artis know. Is there anybody now who knows that you want to participate in that? Anybody sure? I know I want to participate. Is there anybody else who is certain that you want to participate in that session on April the 25th at 5 p.m.? Well, if you're not sure tonight, please let Ms. Artis know if you want to participate.
Will you be or do it all together?
No, you can do it from home.
I'd like to
Okay, so then
What time is it?
it's
5 p.m. on April the 25th. And it is a virtual meeting. It's a Zoom meeting. Okay. Thank you. Next item will be student enrollment and student teacher attendance report. Dr. Shannon.
Sure. The student enrollment for the month of January, we always run 1 month behind, was 2,452 students, and inclusive of preschool and special education students, special education preschool students, the grand total is 2,591. And Nottoway Elementary School is the winner of both the student and teacher attendance award. And they had 95.41% of the students who were present, as well as 92% of their teachers were present. So congratulations to Nottoway.
Thank you. You have calendars and newsletters included with your board information. Please look over those and attend as many events as your schedule will allow. We need an update from the CSEP meeting. Dr. Shannon, Ms. Grant, who represents us on CSEP? Who's the board representative for CSEP? I know he does Government School for the Arts. I thought somebody else did CSEP. Okay. Okay, so we're going to have to look at that because it used to be Dr. Modlin, but I thought somebody had replaced Dr. Modlin, but we'll double check. And Mr.
I will just make a brief
Okay.
Okay. I will say that Mr. Sadler is retiring, so that position will be vacant. And then he also mentioned that he was trying to do a bonus, but they're on Norfolk's salary scale, and so he and the superintendent of Norfolk decided that they would, talk a little bit more about the date of the bonus so that it will be coordinated, so that CSEP doesn't present a bonus and a different amount from what Norfolk Public Schools is going to present.
And Mr. Smith is the person, as I represent on the Government School for the Arts Board, and that's the board that he chairs, and he's not here. I represent our board on the Appomattox Regional Government School Board. We met on Thursday, February the 10th, at the Appomattox Government School in Petersburg. The big item on the agenda was replacing the HVAC system. The school received a matching grant to replace the HVAC system, and they're hoping to do that over the summer. Also, the school is working on having or receiving feedback from stakeholders concerning a strategic plan. Appomattox is participating in the free meal program, so now all students can get lunch for free, and the number of students choosing to do that has increased. The school is also excited because the students are planning a Black History Month program on the 23rd of the month, and it's a completely student-led, student-planned activity. So the director is very excited about that. The tuition for students attending Appomattox will be $9,000 per student for the 22-23 school year. But I think we've talked about that incremental increase in fees before. Those were the highlights of that meeting. Any questions? Well then, pursuant to section 2.2-3711A1 and 2 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, the board will go into a closed meeting to consider personnel appointments, resignations, retirements, administrative discipline, non-resident applications, and personnel matters. Do we have such a motion? Have a motion by Mr. Worsham. Is it a second by Ms. Bradley? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? So we will have our closed session in the library, and then we will return to this area to take any necessary actions that occur during closed session. So I will see you in a few minutes in the library.